No one expected the night to unfold the way it did. The stage was set like any other high-profile political debate: bright lights overhead, cameras locked in position, a quiet audience waiting for the usual exchange of talking points and rehearsed lines. It was supposed to be predictable. Another clash of ideologies. Another round of sharp rhetoric. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, something shifted. Donald Trump leaned forward, adjusted his microphone, and fixed his gaze on Jasmine Crockett. At first, it sounded like standard political disagreement: policy differences, contrasting visions, partisan friction. Then the tone changed. What began as criticism turned personal. He mocked her stance. He questioned her competence. With a dismissive smirk and a subtle shake of his head, he delivered a line that drew gasps from parts of the room. A few nervous laughs followed. Others sat frozen. It wasn't just the words, it was the delivery. The eye roll. The condescension. The implication that she didn't belong in the conversation. And suddenly, every camera in the room turned to her. Would she snap back? Would she interrupt? Would she let emotion take over? She did none of those things. She didn't blink. She didn't shift in her seat. She simply listened. Hands folded. Expression steady. And somehow, that silence became louder than any interruption could have been. He continued speaking, confident, doubling down, framing his remarks as blunt honesty. A few scattered claps echoed from his supporters. But much of the room had stopped reacting to him. They were watching her. Because there was something in her composure, something measured, deliberate, that signaled the moment was far from over. When he finished, the moderator hesitated before turning to her. "Congresswoman Crockett, your response." The camera zoomed in. The air felt heavier. She adjusted her microphone slowly, not rushed, not rattled, and began in a calm, even tone. "First of all," she said. No raised voice. No sharp edge. She didn't address the insult immediately. Instead, she dismantled his policy claims piece by piece. Dates. Numbers. Context. Documented facts. Each sentence was precise. Controlled. Surgical. The murmurs in the audience grew not from chaos, but from realization. This wasn't emotional retaliation. It was methodical rebuttal. His confident smile tightened just slightly. Then she paused. Looked directly at him. And only then did she address what had happened. "Since we're discussing qualifications." The room fell silent again. She referenced past statements. Public records. Contradictions already documented. No exaggeration. No theatrics. Just facts placed carefully on the table. A few people began clapping, hesitant at first, then louder. He tried to interrupt. "Excuse me," she continued, steady. For the first time that night, he wasn't steering the moment. She was. Then came the line that shifted everything. She leaned slightly closer to the microphone, and the entire room leaned in with her. "You can try to insult me all you want," she said evenly, "but the facts don't lie, and neither does the record." The reaction was immediate. Applause rolled through the audience, building in waves. Cameras caught every expression: surprise, approval, disbelief. His smirk faded. He opened his mouth to respond, but she wasn't finished. "I've faced critics before," she continued, her voice unwavering. "I've faced doubt, intimidation, and distraction. And yet, I'm still here representing millions of Americans who deserve leadership rooted in substance, not spectacle." The silence returned, but it was different now. It was attentive. Focused. Even some of his supporters shifted uneasily. She let the pause linger before adding, "The people watching this debate deserve honesty. They deserve respect. Not cheap shots." The applause this time was thunderous. Phones lifted into the air. Clips were already being captured. He waved a hand, trying to interject, but momentum had moved beyond him. The moderator attempted to restore order, but the energy in the room had transformed. She hadn't escalated. She hadn't shouted. She had redirected. He leaned forward again, sharper now. "You think you're clever." The frustration was more visible. But again, she waited. Let him speak. Let him reveal the agitation. Then she answered calmly, "Cleverness isn't the goal. Accountability is." The words landed heavier than any insult. Facts matter. Leadership matters. The people matter. Each phrase deliberate. He attempted another quick jab, an effort to regain footing, but she countered without raising her voice. "I don't need to insult you to make a point," she said. "Your record speaks for itself." The room reacted again, not chaotic, but decisive. The shift was undeniable. He paused mid-response, searching for a comeback that didn't come easily. And then, in the closing stretch of the debate, she delivered the line that would echo long after the cameras stopped rolling. Leaning slightly forward, steady and composed, she said, "Respect isn't earned by who can shout the loudest. It's earned by who stands firm when it matters." The room erupted. Standing ovation. Reporters scribbling notes. Social feeds lighting up in real time. He sat back, momentarily stunned, not with anger, but with visible recalibration. For the first time that night, control had shifted completely. She hadn't matched insult with insult. She had matched it with discipline. And discipline won the moment. As the debate wrapped and the moderators tried to move forward, the energy never quite returned to where it had been. The audience was still buzzing. Commentators were already drafting headlines. Because what happened wasn't just a sharp exchange. It was a demonstration. A lesson in composure under fire. A reminder that sometimes the strongest response isn't volume, it's precision. By the time she left the stage, the narrative had changed. Clips were spreading. Analysts were dissecting every second. And one thing was clear, she hadn't just responded to an attack. She had transformed it into a defining moment. That night wasn't remembered for the insult. It was remembered for the response. The calm. The control. The clarity. And long after the lights dimmed and the cameras shut off, that was the part people kept replaying.